And and I think that's absolutely beyond disgusting, because I remember afterwards speaking to you, Mum, um, and telling you I did not want Nicole to come to that fitness class, and I did not approve of her being there. Now I'm the teacher. I'm the teacher of that class. As much as I appreciate you helping me get that position, but I am the teacher, and there's no way I'm going to help my sister under those circumstances. Um, and you told me, you said you have no right to refuse Nicole coming to your fitness class. Now, I think that's absolutely disgraceful. It's, I don't know, is it disgraceful? Is it extreme lack of intelligence? Uh, what's a more powerful insult I can give? I don't know. And as for Dad I can't speak on, but all I do know is before that fitness class, I saw Nicole outside talking to Dad. And I don't know what about, but guess what? I'm a pretty intelligent guy. And I'd be willing to bet she was discussing the argument Nicole and I just had. She was discussing the fact that I just told her, don't come to my fitness class. I forbid you. It's my class. I don't want you there. And I see her chatting with Dad, and then I see her turn up to the class. So I'd be willing to bet she was discussing with Dad whether or not she can or should come. And perhaps I think it's fair to say Dad probably said, yeah, go to the fitness class. You know, maybe this is me being too soft, but the only thing I can consider is that maybe Dad, like always, which has probably rubbed off on me in what, through maturity, I'm realizing now is a bad thing, is he's trying to keep the peace. He's trying to keep the family happy. He doesn't want problems and arguments and all this crap, right? And nor do I. But the problem is, if you don't face the bad things, if you don't deal with problems, the problems are going to end up much, much worse. And the same applies now. You know, my 2.5 video or more that I've already sent you has still obviously not been enough to grab your attention. So hopefully this is an opportunity to work through these problems, not in some bullshit, wishy-washy, lovey-dovey crap way, but in a serious way. People need disciplining. And obviously I'm talking about Nicole and Mum. Now, to try and give this a bit of light and shade again, I just want to reiterate that me trying to get a good family relationship, obviously, I think I said it already, but I'm just going to mention again how hard I friggin' trained thinking about you guys, like trying to achieve something really big. Like, but look how many athletes there are in the world, right? Millions of them. And I know I keep harping on about it. Maybe you don't believe me or whatever, but you know, I did reach a super Olympic level, and I believe one of the biggest strengths that I have that helped achieve that is sometimes I'd run or swim or whatever or lift weights, and I'd get to the point where I'm like, that's it. I'm going to pass out now. I can't run any further or any faster. I'm gone. And I'd often think in my head, what if this was an emergency? What if for some reason I got to go help out my mom or my dad or Nicole? What if for some reason, no matter how tired I am, I have to get to them, and I have to get to them quickly. Like, time is critical. I've considered that so many times before Thailand and while I was in Thailand. And it's that kind of love and passion and dedication. These are the kind of thoughts that go through my mind that help me run faster and lift more weight and train harder than anybody else. That combined with intelligence, and intelligence again through hard work, through all the research that I've dedicated to, with my studies on health and fitness. And by the way, another thing that really crushed me is one of the calls I made to Dad, like, as I've been learning so much about health and longevity in particular, in an advanced way. I said some comment to Dad along the lines of, I could really help you or something like that. And he said it and he replied in a really sarcastic, maybe sarcastic's not the right word for it, but a really condescending kind of way, like, how do you think you could in any way help me, Stuart? And at that point, I didn't even bother answering. But obviously it makes me feel like totally inadequate. It's like, what? I achieve all these academic things. I achieve all these sporting things. And I'm still not good enough to even be able to help you out. How about that? And now I'm like real confused because there was so much drive before to do well, obviously with these physical goals and other goals. But because so much of that motivation is related to trying to bring the family together, trying to have big success for all of us, and for that to now not be there and to feel so abandoned and unappreciated, it's like so confusing and difficult to find the motivation to get back into the training, because it's like, well, what's the motivation now? Because it can't just be about shallow things like money. Yeah, money, real important. But, isn't life is so much bigger than that, and you have to have some big vision and perception of yourself and life and how, and love. And love's all about friends and family. So with this major part that certainly seems to be taken away, it's I feel pretty lost and confused about that. And obviously that can make things a lot worse, because if I let my health go further, depression, everything spirals down worse. Yeah, and the last thing I really want to touch on is, before I do, I'll touch on what you guys should be having the maturity to do, is touch on what are my responsibilities? What do I need to own up to? Well, I think I already did actually on the audio, is what did I do? I ran off. I didn't run off. I went to Thailand without telling you guys. Well, that was the obvious one. But, here I am being defensive. And I'm going to show you how not to be defensive. Okay, what I did was went off and tried to continue, because obviously I'd already trained mega hard in Australia. So I was already at that level that if I keep training even harder whilst getting the repair on my damaged muscles that I needed by way of the cheap massages in Thailand, that I could recover better and take my training even further. But I did do that without enough of my own money. However, I blatantly can defend that, because I had no intention of staying there for a long period of time. It was purely just to go for like a couple of months exercise holiday, so to speak. And that's it. So I can't really apologize for something that I had no intention of doing, but I can own up to the fact that ultimately I did choose to stay and didn't have the money and the resources and the proper setup with the visa, etc. And okay, maybe I'm being defensive here. Now, it's always easy in hindsight, but life is not 2020. If you want, you could say, oh, well, at that point you should have gone back to Australia and sorted it all out, right? But you could say that about anything in life. You always got a plan at the time, and things might be looking good, and your plan sounds reasonable and doesn't work out. Right? But at least I'm going to be honest about it and own the fact that I guess that maybe wasn't the best decision. Maybe I should have stayed in Australia longer and tried to save up more money. But again, like I said, that's kind of irrelevant, because I had no idea that I was going to stay there. And I had no idea that I was going to meet the people that I met, and the great training partners, and the girl that I met, the relationship. And hopefully my emotions don't spiral down now while I'm stuck here in Australia, because I had a fantastic relationship over there. As crazy as it sounds, obviously happened very, very fast. And I wouldn't blame anyone for thinking, oh man, what you did's crazy. Like, you just rush off to Thailand and you meet a girl, and in 2 seconds you want to be with her and have a serious long-term relationship, maybe even marry her and live there and have a career there, all within a couple of months. Anyone would think, oh man, you're wild and reckless. But you don't know me, and you don't know my life circumstances. And even I would have thought that was crazy too, but life's not always how you think it is and how you plan it. And the reality is I was not happy in the Gold Coast. Which should be obvious. I was just doing that training once a week. I certainly wasn't being lazy, if that's what you think of me, Dad, when you consider how friggin' hard I was training and donating my time to all those charitable volunteer type things that I do and all the business things I've done over the years. So don't ever compare me to a lot of those other types of people I'm talking about at those charity type events that simply bum around, live off what they get, and don't do shit to improve themselves or create something great for their lives and for their family. So now that I've owned up to my lack of preparation and forcing somewhat you guys into a position to be having to help me out financially, etc., which put pressure on you, and also it's all unexpected and everything. But by the way, on the unexpected side, that is also something very unavoidable, because psychologically I've learned that it's very important to keep, at least for me, to keep your big goals, you keep your mouth shut and you keep them to yourself. Because the moment you start telling people, oh, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that, you put a lot more pressure on yourself. And also a lot of those people, even if they're your own family, will probably discredit you, look down on you, say things like, oh, aren't you too old for that? Or that might be good for now, but how are you going to earn money from that in the future? These types of comments, or maybe you're not pretty enough for that. So I like to keep my goals to myself, and that's why but as soon as I achieve them, I'm happy to share with them. And I think that makes a way better story, because then you've always got positive things to share with people, not, you're a doer, not I'm a gunner. So yeah, what I wanted to also mention to both of you, one of the biggest things that I was most upset about is that despite all that crap, all these painful experiences I had in Thailand, I kept letting you guys know how well things were going with the fitness and training side of things. But, and you might argue with this till you're blue in the face, but I know it's true, is that you never asked me, how can I put it? You never asked me about it. Like, you only knew about it because I told you about it. But you'd never ever ask me, like, even prior to going to Thailand, like at the gym or whatever. But most importantly, after achieving these huge levels of achievement, like beating the fittest man on earth and beating the Navy SEAL advanced record times for all aspects, swimming, running, push-ups, pull-ups, all the different aspects, you never showed any interest Like, you may show interest in, I'm telling you about it and you'll listen, but you never ever asked me any questions about it, oh wow, how did you do that? Like, how's your training going? Or like, what what nutrition do you do to do that, to take that? Or how can it be possible that you're 38 and these Navy SEAL guys and these Olympic athletes, they're in their 20s? How can you be 38 and doing all of that, and them so young? Or like any kind of question, like, oh, how did you get so strong? Or how did you run so fast? Or what's your training regiment? Or what foods do you eat to be able to do this? Like, or even regardless of asking me questions of how to do these things, because that's not really your interest, but like sharing some kind of excitement for the goal, like like what is CrossFit? Like, you probably still don't even know, like, what is CrossFit? Like, what do you like about running? What do you like about martial arts? You've never asked me about the passion side of things. The only thing, whenever this was discussed, is always about how you're going to get paid for this. When am I going to get repaid for this? It was just always about the money. And, whilst money can be a big motivating factor for anybody in life, because we all need money, and without it causes a lot of problems and stress, ultimately, if you're going to do something really big in life, it has to go far beyond the money. You're not going to be running around a track, sweating your ass off, going, oh, I better keep running so I can get $100 today or next week. It's got to be way bigger than that. And the choice of how you're going to make that money, you've got to be passionate about it. So it's got to be like, why do you like martial arts? What does that mean to you? Like, what's your style? Who has inspired you? Who are these athletes? Who is this Rich Froning guy? What is CrossFit? What's that all about? Some degree of interest would be appreciated when I'm trying so extremely hard, as I keep saying, for you guys to do something super exciting, super fantastic. And lastly, like I said, I always turn down the money that you offered me. I've already mentioned this whole money side of things anyway. One thing I didn't mention, which, you might take a lot of this as a major slap in the face, wouldn't surprise me one bit. But whatever, I feel like I've been slapped in the face, so I'm slapping you back in the face. And that is, while we hear these 1 in a million stories from time to time about people like Oprah Winfrey or whatever, who come from really bad background experiences with no support and are self-made millionaires or self-made athletes or business people or whatever, right? The reality is these are 1 in a billion type people, and a lot of these stories are sensationalized to sell magazines and to sell books to make more money for everybody, right? But what I wanted to say is that while I turned down all the money you were offering me before I went to Thailand, repeatedly offered by both Dad and mum, while I was always turning that down, I ultimately accepted it while I was in Thailand. I made it very clear multiple times to mum. I said, Mum, now I'm accepting the money, the real money. I want to do this properly. I don't need the world. I don't need some ridiculous amount of money, but I do need the proper money to reach the proper goals. So, you know, my sport is not an expensive sport. I'm not a race car driver. I don't need a friggin' Lamborghini. I'm not some advanced tennis player or golf player with all their expensive golf clubs and whatnot. I need a mouth guard, some pads, and that's about it. And I'm in one of the cheapest countries in the world, Thailand. So I just needed a little bit of money for the most cheapest accommodation and for food. And that's it. So you had already offered me this money. I turned it down, but because I had finally started breaking these records and reaching these super high levels, then as a mature, responsible person, I decided, no, Stuart, by not accepting the money now, you are going to do yourself a major injustice. It is time you say yes. Otherwise, you're going to lose this opportunity. If you don't keep your health going to the level that it's already going, you'll be an absolute fool, especially when it's been offered to you. So I made it really clear to mum. I spoke to mum on the phone. I said, Mum, I want to take this seriously now. I do accept the money. And I don't mean, Mum, can I borrow a couple $100? Or Mum, can I borrow $300 or $400? No, I want the proper money to last me a few months with all the proper supplements and food. And that's about it. So maybe a few $1,000s worth to see the job done properly. And the really stupid thing on your guys' behalf is you would have benefited tremendously from that. Like, I could have done anything athletic-wise and been paid a fortune. I wouldn't even need to do any sport. Just the simple fact of my age and breaking all these records would probably be enough to do interviews and magazines and books and stuff. Just that alone could have made a ton of money. There are people like that. There's a major celebrity guy called David Goggins who's done exactly that. He is an athlete, but he's not competed in any athletic events. He just broke some world records, like did a whole heap of chin-ups and did a big run, and it was meant to be extra impressive because he's old. Well, not that old, like he's about the same age as me. But there's endless things I could have done to have massive success. So, yeah. So you've made a major mistake on that side of things. But in my opinion, more importantly, you've made a major mistake in how this has messed up our whole family relationship. That's, I guess, about it. Like I keep saying, a major problem of this is all the crap Nicole put me through. Like, I'll tell you what, if Nicole wants to go to defense about any of this, then you'll get the full story. You know, I think enough negativity has been shared. That's my opinion. But as you'll find out if you want to, if Nicole wants to continue to try and defend herself and try to twist this around in some way, then I'll make you another video and then I'll really tell you about Nicole. I'm going to try and balance this out and give a bit of positivity, but sort of rather keep my positivity for myself. But I'm just trying to wrap my head around all this. But with Nicole, I could be wrong, but I think maybe part of the problem is people like Nicole, or many people, giving up on their dreams. Like, this might sound like some positive crap, but I believe there's something deeply true about this. People giving up on their childhood dreams. So you might start off with this vibrant outlook on life where you want to do something great. And then as life beats you down, you give up on it and then try to get little bits and pieces of what you want out of life in a snaky, dark, kind of manipulative way, because you're not prepared to really go out there through love and passion and achieve what you're truly capable of. And maybe some of the way people put this positive talk can actually work against you because it makes it sound too hard, like rah, 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 you can be the best in the world. And it makes it sound too hard. So people give up and then they just focus on all the negative shit in life. But I have a different way of thinking about it. I look at it as it's not as hard as people make out. Like, I just choose to believe it's all bullshit. Like this whole thing of, oh, once you're 30, whatever, you're too old to be an athlete. Well, yeah, that's crap. Not according to, I train, I look at my numbers on the running machine or how much weight I'm lifting. I see those numbers improving. I keep applying the correct scientific principles and I keep improving. So I don't believe that crap. And one really good thing I remember Dad telling me is about, oh, you think you have big goals, Stuart. And he was saying this in a good way. He says, oh, you haven't even scratched the surface. Look at people like Elon Musk who are friggin' trying to migrate people to friggin' Mars. So anytime I think, oh, I'm trying to become a top athlete or something like that, I think, well, that's a piece of cake. That's nothing compared to interplanetary friggin' space and building rocket ships and orchestrating the entire thing. So with regards to Nicole, I think she has greatly given up on herself, which is obviously a very sad thing. But rather than just listening to all my really dark and negative things I've said about Nicole, maybe she should consider trying to really truly tap in to what may be left of her passion. I'm not going to say good side, because I'm definitely not in a mood to say that she even has a good side. What I am going to say is tap into passion and back it up with work. Real work, not self-created obstacles of work. We often make bullshit work, making problems for ourselves instead of focus on exactly what needs to be done to achieve the big things you're trying to achieve. So instead of doing all this bullshit like she always talks about at the hospital, like, oh, this nurse doesn't agree with the way I believe in birthing and all that, why don't you take the balls like I did and get like a loan, for example, or save up your money and create your own birthing center and have the courage and the intelligence to research it properly and safely and however way you think is best, and do your own business, your own birthing business that you can be truly passionate about. Or why don't you go write a book, instead of being bogged down in a day-to-day grind of, oh, it's difficult to get a job and we got this problem, we got that problem, etc. But anyway, you might not give two shits about my opinion, just as I don't give two shits about your opinion, especially not at the moment. But if you did care to consider that, that's my take on it. And that might sound success orientated, but I believe that ultimately leads to developing into a better person, because it's through taking the risks and the dedication to explore your passions that you can evolve into a more caring and loving, compassionate, wise, and understanding type of person. Just as these same disciplines have been given to me through my training, through doing things like when you're doing push-ups and you feel like you're going to die, you keep pushing harder because you are a strong and worthy, decent person willing to do what it takes to achieve the bigger vision in life. So the same passion, dedication can be applied to any goal or passion that is within you. Anyway, I've spent far too much time talking to you guys and getting very little back. So I really hope that you take the time to do, ideally, a video like this and send it back. Obviously, you're going to have to ask someone how to do that, but it's very, very simple. You probably already know how to press the video button on your phone. It's the same one where you take photos with your camera. And then once you've recorded it all, it's also very simple to then upload that video from your phone to YouTube. And it will give you an option there to only have that video shared with whoever you send the link to. So it won't be a public video that anybody can watch if you want to keep some privacy between our conversations, which I think I already said in the videos, but that's another reason why I don't know exactly in full what I'm trying to achieve here with our family and talking all about this, but it does concern me somewhat that I'm not there ever to defend myself. So when you talk to Nicole, or mum talks to Nicole and Nicole talks to mum, or dad talks to Nicole, or dad, mum, Nicole, when you talk between each other and Jake, you can all say whatever you want to say. And I'm never there to correct things or to give my side of the story. Or as I keep on saying, I never get to say the truth. And